If we are waiting for someone, maybe we can wait. Otherwise, we can start. Okay, so I got a request to schedule this call because you had some clarifications regarding readiness check. Can we understand what clarifications you need?
Well, I think we need to understand how to interpret the result of readiness check into business language and into IT language. How we can understand the result of readiness check. There are a lot of
Okay.
tiles, yeah, a lot of measurements which were done, and we need to understand how we can interpret all these results.
Okay, so we had one session yesterday from Isha. She was explaining some of the IT related tiles. Let me just do one thing. Let me share my screen and show you something. Just give me a second. I'm just looking for something in the chat page and then I will share my screen. Okay. Can you see the screen now?
Yes.
Okay. So this is how a typical readiness check dashboard look like. Yesterday, we went through some of the tiles individually. So for instance, we went ahead with custom code analysis, S4HANA sizing. Do you have any specific question around these tiles, or would I run these tiles individually quickly? Because the detailed session there's one more detailed session scheduled for tomorrow where Isha will walk us through the remaining tiles, and there was a session that was scheduled yesterday where she had explained 5 different tiles.
Harshad, could you revise our own readiness check? Is it possible
Okay.
or not?
Yes, it is very much possible. Let me stop my sharing and you can share the screen now.
Just a moment, please.
Yeah. Do you see the option to share the screen?
Yes, just a moment, please.
Okay, okay, okay. Sure.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see the screen now.
Mm,
Okay, so
okay.
what we will do is I will explain you the individual tiles here. I'll give you a quick overview. If required, we can go into the details. Then if you have any questions, you can ask me that. We start with simplification items. Now, this is the first tile that you see. By relevance, so I believe there are 90, some more than 110 or 112 simplification items identified. Now, what are simplification items? When you move to SAP S/4HANA, there are business implications involved. So in that case, you have to consider those business implications. You must have heard about SAP S/4HANA that most of the tables have changed. You don't have Fagel Flexa anymore. There is a new table with FI Agdoka. Similarly, you must have heard about the MKPF and MSEC table, the material management tables going away, and then there is a new table, MatDoc. So there are table level changes that has come with SAP S/4HANA. All such technical and functional changes are captured in simplification items. So with SAP, there are around more than 600 simplification items for SAP S/4HANA documented. What I will do is I will quickly give you the link where you can see all these simplification items. Just give me a second. Simplification catalog. Yeah. So in the chat, I have given you the link to see all the simplification items that SAP has released. Now, not all of them are valid for Eurasian foods. There are only few of them which you have to work on. So that number is probably slightly more than 125, the donut chart that you see. Functionally, you have to evaluate each of these simplification items and see what your functional team has to work upon. To give you a quick example, one of the mandatory change that you need to do before you go to S/4HANA is business partner migration. You have to convert all your customers and vendors to business partners. This is a mandatory step required before you move to SAP S/4HANA. So you have to convert these uh, customers and vendors to business partners. This is one simplification item which is documented here. So if you go ahead and click this donut chart, just go ahead and click on this donut chart and it will give you a breakup of what simplification items are relevant for you based on different line of business. If you go to the drop down, so what is relevant for finance? If you check finance, what activities a finance or a functional folks should be doing to complete the preparation for S/4HANA. So for example, when you move to S/4HANA, one of the step is to migrate your finance data. That is the last step in the migration. To do that, you have to do some configurations related to asset accounting. Because you are moving from classic asset accounting to new asset accounting, some configurations are required. What are those configurations? This is something which is documented in the first simplification item, the asset accounting activities. Right? So if you click there, it will take you to the documentation on what activities you should be performing as far as asset accounting is concerned. So these are the functional activities that you will have to take care of before you move to S/4HANA. If you go back to the readiness check and again go back to the home page. Yeah. So we have now identified, let's say more than 125 simplification items. Your team will have to work on these simplification items. But there are certain simplification items you have to take care before the S/4HANA conversion, during the S/4HANA conversion, and after the S/4HANA conversion is completed. So that breakup of activities is available on the second tile, which says activities related to simplification items. Yes. So you see the breakup here by conversion phase, the third chart here, the bar chart. This is where you will see what activities you need to do during conversion, before or during conversion, before conversion and after conversion. So if you click on this conversion phase, yeah, and then you choose the drop down by conversion phase, you can then identify what activities you have to do before the conversion project. So let's say if you select before, all the activities that you need to do before is highlighted here, including the custom code changes. So all technical and functional steps that you need to follow is documented in activities related to simplification items. Now, how do we capture this data from your system? We capture this data from your system based on certain system entries. So it is possible that we end up with some false positive activities. The false positive activity could be anything, but you might have to not work on it. So the next step you need to take care is you take all the related simplification items back to your functional colleagues. You give the FI colleagues their FI activities. They will identify if they have to do it in the system and when they have to do it in the system, either before or after the conversion is completed. So for example, again, taking the example of FI, the asset accounting configuration will have to be done before the conversion takes place. The actual FI migration will happen after the technical upgrade is completed. So all such activities are highlighted here, and these activities, the relevant activities, you have to then take it in your project plan, the activity plan. So I hope I was able to explain the simplification items. If required, if you need some more details in tomorrow's session, you can share this dashboard again and Isha can explain you more about the simplification items. Now, I'll also send you one link which talks about the top 10 simplification items that customers work on. So this is the link where you can see what are the top 10 simplification items customers usually work on. Okay, so if we go back to the main dashboard again, we can see the other tiles. So I hope I was able to clarify the simplification item part.
Yeah, I think yes, we need to flick through all categories and read some additional information about each simplification item cut out.
Yes,
And I
yes,
think you provided the top 10 simplification items.
yes,
Yeah, okay.
yes. And very importantly, each of these simplification item is documented in detail. There is a corresponding SAP note number. So if you click on this pie chart again, I'm sorry, I'm going back again to the, if you click on this pie chart again, you will see a table that pops up.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
one?
Any
Left
pie chart
one.
is fine. Any pie chart is fine.
Okay.
Okay. If you, yeah, in this table, the last column that you see is the SAP note, which is relevant or which is specific for this simplification item. So the entire documentation around this simplification item is captured in this SAP note. You can go to this SAP note and understand what this simplification item means. So this note will basically discuss about the impact that will happen on S4HANA if there is any functionality change or if there is any technical change. For example, some domains are now changed or some material field is extended from 18 characters to 40 characters. So that impact will be discussed in these individual notes. So yes, you will have to send the stuff to the functional colleagues. They will understand and filter the data. And there are some technical simplification items which your ABAP team will have to take care of.
Could I ask you that these simplification items based on our system or it's like a predefined?
No, it is based on your system.
Yeah,
So
but because I saw that one of the, can I show you that mm, before conversion, it was about split your dual stack system into separate ABAP, but we have ABAP system.
okay, so you don't have Java stack with you.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
this
this
is,
simplification is in place.
we will have to, yeah, this is where I mean the false positives will have to be removed. So you have to review this sheet. What best has been done is from 600 odd simplification items, SAP was able to identify that you have to study 125 of them, and then decide what is relevant. Sometimes out of 125, you end up working with just 20 or 30 simplification items. The others are all false positives. But it's important to analyze because the system thinks that you have a dual stack. So it's not 100% analysis. You will have to do this second level of analysis at your end.
Okay, clear.
Yeah. So we go back to the dashboard and we scroll down. Next we have is add-on compatibility. So this section basically details out any third-party add-ons that you have installed. If you have installed certain add-ons, let's say SAP specific add-ons, it will also tell you if they are compatible with S4HANA. If they are compatible, then what is the compatible add-on you should be using? And if it is a third-party add-on, it will tell you that you will have to check with the third-party vendor if they have the S4 specific add-on released. If not, you have to go ahead and delete this add-on. So if you click on this bar chart, scroll down, these are the name of SAP compatible add-ons that you have. BP CANW and then BP ERP 606V8. And then there is no third-party add-on as of now identified in your system. So you are good to go ahead with S4HANA as far as add-ons are considered.
This information getting from maintenance planner, yes, as I know.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
And we need to keep the system up to date in order to view actual information in our Readiness Check.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
This step is again performed. If there are any basis experts in the call, they can relate. When you start creating the stack.xml file, which has the target release information for S4HANA, it will also identify what are the add-ons that are supported and what add-ons are not supported. So this check is again executed when you actually create the stack.xml file. Okay, let's come to the active business functions. Now, you might be aware about the business functions feature in SAP. What has happened with S4HANA is there are several business functions within SAP which are combined and they are created as a single business function in S4HANA. While some of them are actually deleted, so they are not longer offered in SAP S4HANA. So this basically gives you the detail about what business function will be deleted and what are the compatible business functions with S4HANA. So you have to only worry about the one business function which will be deleted here. If you can filter out that, yeah, this is the business function which will be deleted. You need to cross check what this business function is, and once this is this will be basically automatically deleted, I guess.
Automatically, yeah. We do not need to be warned about that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So rest are all, I believe, are compatible business functions. You need not worry about it. There is a generic note about understanding the business functions. I believe you can see the description and there you will be able to find the note. If not, I can send you across. There you can understand what business functions are deleted, what business functions are activated in S4HANA when you move to S4HANA.
Yeah, I think it will be useful information.
Yeah, I'll send that. Can we go to the next? There's a question in chat. It's something in Russian. I won't be able to understand it. Maybe someone can translate it for me.
It's something like, is it clear for everyone or not?
Oh, okay.
Алло, коллеги, скажите, а вот мы проходили, например, по кастомизации, где были выведены все ошибки по ним. Вот можем именно пройти по кастомизации. Потому что были некоторые сообщения о том, что есть, например, ошибки, а на самом деле там предупреждение, как вот быть с этим чеком, когда у нас просто предупреждение имеется.
Рамиль, ты понимаешь, о чем речь?
Нет, не совсем. А это где были предупреждения?
А давайте я спрошу, он, наверное, знает, где.
Давайте.
Да. Hashrat, I'm sorry. We want to ask you about somewhere in this readiness check, we have found some warnings that we should that we should do something with that. Could you please open it? We don't know. We don't remember how we opened that, but it was some warnings and a note that we should install. Do you know how?
Is it related to custom code by any chance?
To this readiness check, yes, somewhere here.
Okay, so what I will do is we'll go through each of these tiles and maybe we can find it.
Yes,
because yeah,
it was
so
some recommendation or something, warnings that we should do.
Okay, let's see that. Let's see the next tile after business functions. If we scroll down and you have the sizing part. Do you need clarification for sizing or is it clear for you?
Generally, it's clear.
Okay, so make sure if you're going ahead with on-premise, make sure that you size your hardware for next 3 or 5 years based on the IT strategy you have. So what you have, yes.
Sorry, carry on, please.
Go ahead. If you have a question, ask it.
I don't have any questions, so please carry on.
Okay. Okay. So you need to consider this future database growth if you are considering the hardware investments. We just have to enter the number of years and the percentage value you anticipate the growth. It could be 20, 25%, or it could be 18, whatever it is. You can enter this and then calculate the hardware size you need. After the S4HANA go live happens, what is the target size hardware you need? So accordingly, you can procure the hardware, the certified hardware, and then there are several considerations, the database growth, the DVM reduction. I believe the DVM exercise is already considered. So the DVM size is subtracted from this initial estimates, which is 344 GB. So the important part in sizing aspect is to consider the number of years you want to size the hardware for and the percentage value growth you anticipate. So with 344 GB, I believe you can, with 20% growth, you can still sustain for next 3 years if you procure a 1 terabyte hardware. This is just an example. You need to evaluate what hardware you want to procure and for how many years do you want to sustain the same hardware. Accordingly, you calculate the growth and then procure the hardware. Yeah, so with 3 years, 20% growth, you see that 250 GB is the additional requirement. So the total requirement is 594 GB. All right, so let's go back. I assume that sizing is understood by everyone. It's pretty simple actually. And of course, you will also get details about what tables will be removed. What is the savings that you will have when you remove those tables? When the new tables come in with S4HANA, what is the additional size they will take? So all that information is also available here. Okay, next is custom code analysis. Now, this is a very tricky part here. Please understand that this is not the entire custom code analysis done on your system. There is a separate activity that you need to perform. I'll send you a link. I had shared yesterday. Custom code. So what you see here is in the readiness check, it just gives you overview about the custom code changes you have to perform. So what is this bar indicates? It just indicates the number of SAP notes that you need to follow to make those custom code changes. It does not talk about what custom code is affected and where the change is required. If you have to do a detailed custom code analysis, you have to perform the steps using the migration guide link that I have shared in the chat. So if you scroll down, it will basically give you details about what SAP note you should refer to make that custom code change. For example, take this example, S4 HANA data model changes in SD. This is the 4th row. Yeah. In this case, this note 2198647 will talk about how the data model changes have happened in SD. So for example, the status field is removed from the document tables. There are certain primary keys that are removed. Okay. So this only talks about what custom code change is required from your end, but it does not tell you where this change is required. To understand where this change is required, you have to perform a detailed ATC check at your end, and you have to use this guide which I have shared in the chat. You use this guide, set up a system. So all you need is the NetWeaver 7.52 SP04 system in your landscape. Okay, you connect this system to your development system using RFC, and you install certain notes which are documented in this migration guide, and then you run the ATC check. The output that you will get is a Excel sheet where all the custom code changes that you need to perform is documented in detail. But in readiness check, what you get here is just a list of SAP notes that are applicable for you to perform the custom code changes.
This style is also related to our functionality. It's not a predefined. Yes. It's all about our system.
Yes. So basically there are more than 200 notes for custom code changes, but out of those 200, only 58 are applicable for Eurasian foods.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and as we are aware that there is an additional functionality to check our custom code, it's based on Fiori application. Is there any differences between standard ATC, which we used some time ago, and this new functionality?
So when you use the standard ATC, did you set up a NetWeaver 7.4 to SP04? Okay, let me answer it in a different way. What you see here on the screen in readiness check is not the Fiori analysis. There is a new Fiori app that has been released to do the custom code analysis, which has to be deployed on S4 HANA trial system. You can use a trial system, you can deploy that app, and it will do the custom code analysis for you. You do that, or you perform the ATC checks on a NetWeaver system, on a NetWeaver 7.02 NetWeaver 7.52 SP04 system. What I will do is, let me just open a guide, share my screen, but unfortunately that is not covered in the scope of the adoption starter program, but I can still guide you on how to do this. Custom code analysis, user.
Harshad, may I ask you again?
Yes, please.
The question is about hardware space and the percent of growth, and how we can understand what will be the percent of the growth.
Yeah,
it's
a good question.
Or 40 or
Yeah, there is no direct way to identify this, but what you can relate is you can check the historical growth for last 3 years at your end. You can take the same number, the same assumption going forward. So if you are growing by, let's say, 18% in last 3 years, you can take the same 18% value as the future growth. At the same time, if you expect there are any mergers or acquisitions in future that may happen, of course, nobody can predict that, but you can size the hardware accordingly. You can have some buffer. So it totally depends on the hardware that you want to procure. It could be a possibility that the hardware vendor may give you a very good deal for 2 terabyte box rather than 1 terabyte box. So in that case, you go ahead with 2 terabytes rather than going for 1 terabyte, and you should not worry much about the growth. But yes, you can take the historical growth and anticipate the same growth in the future for S4HANA.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Yeah, so let me share my screen very quickly. I hope you can see the browser. Okay, so there is one way of identifying the affected custom code, which is by using a Fiori app. It is not the way we have done it in the readiness check. This is totally different. You have to deploy this app on a S4HANA system. So you can take a trial system and you can deploy this app there. In background, it is going to run the ATC check. It will communicate with your backend system, the development system using RFC, and it will give you the custom code recommendations here. So in background, it runs the ATC check. But again, this ATC check is run on this S4HANA trial system, which is a NetWeaver 7.5 to SP04 system. So either you can use the Fiori app if you have a trial system. If you do not have a trial system, what I suggest is you set up a NetWeaver 7.52 system in your landscape. You can use one application server. You can take the supported database and you run the ATC check there and connect the system using RFC to this backend system. I hope I was able to explain this custom code check here.
Yeah, and by functionality, there are no differences.
There are no differences,
No
absolutely.
differences. Yeah, we can use an old approach.
Yes.
Okay.
You can share your screen again and I can finish the other tiles. Okay. Let's go back. Scroll down. And now we have recommended Fiori apps. So I believe you have more than 1,500 Fiori apps that are recommended. Now, how do we know that these Fiori apps are relevant for you? What Readiness Check has done is it has captured the usage data from your pre-production system or production system. It has checked what transactions were accessed in last 3 weeks or 6 weeks or so. Based on the historic usage data, it has recommended some 1,500 Fiori applications for you. It does not mean that you deploy all such Fiori applications at your end. You can again revise this list, share it with the business user. If they are interested to use these Fiori apps, you can deploy it for them. Here you will see there are 3 different categories: SAP Fiori Theme Classic UI, SAP Fiori, and Lighthouse Fiori apps. Lighthouse Fiori apps are very critical and very important ones, very popular Fiori apps amongst different set of customers. So these are the 58 apps that we would like you to go ahead with. Then there are pure SAP Fiori apps, which is around 1073. And then you have SAP Fiori Theme Classic UI, which simply means that the SAP screen is embedded to the SAP Fiori screen. So these are the set of Fiori app recommendations. You can again review this list, finalize what Fiori apps you have to deploy. And once S4HANA Go Live is finished, you can simply go ahead and deploy these Fiori apps. So you can filter this based on the roles. We at SAP have created several rules. Based on the rules, you can identify what Fiori apps are relevant for that role. So there could be a purchaser, cash manager. These are all SAP specific rules, but I would still suggest you go ahead, you download this data in Excel sheet and you go back to the Fiori app library. I'll give you that link. In Fiori app library, you can see the look and feel of how the app will look like, and you can then decide if required what Fiori apps you can deploy. So this is the link for Fiori app library. Yeah. So you can compare this with the set that has been identified here and see what apps are relevant for you. This app library will basically have list of all the applications, Fiori applications. So let's say we go back to the dashboard and we try to identify one of the Fiori app. Scroll down. No, that's okay. You can again click scroll down and we can identify one such app. Yeah, click on 58. Nothing happens. Yeah. Now, let's say you are very much interested in clear outgoing payments. You click this clear outgoing payments, it will take you to the Fiori app library. And there you can see the look and feel of this app. How does it look? What are the screenshots? Who can be the end user of this app? Then you can decide if you have to go ahead and implement this. So yeah, in here implementation information, it details how do you implement these apps. You will need a separate or a NetWeaver gateway system where you can deploy the OData services and app can be reactivated.
Okay, and we need to revise all SAP Fiori apps.
Yeah, the identified ones. You don't have to go ahead and deploy all the 1500 apps. I'm sure you may not need all of them. You can talk to the user if they are interested in these apps, you can deploy it for them. Sometimes the customers use the other approach. They deploy all the apps and then they give it to the end user. If the end user likes it, they will keep it. Otherwise, they will delete it.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, let's go back. So next is the BW extractors part, the integration part. So there is no problem identified with IDOC interfaces. There are 2,124. We don't see any problem there, but there is a problem with BW extractors. Can you click on integration? Yeah. So please note that the number is very less here, but if the BW extractor is activated in your current ECC system, it will be shown here, irrespective of whether you are using it or not. You may not be using these BW extractors, but they are active. And that is why it is captured in ReadinessCheck. What it says, there are 4 extractors which are obsolete. You cannot use them. And there is one extractor which will work with no problems in S4HANA. The problem where you have is with those 4 extractors where probably there are some data table changes that has happened, table data changes that has happened, and there is no functionality available to support these 4 extractors. So all you have to do is to take your BW colleague and ask him if you are going to go ahead and use these BW extractors. If not, you simply have to go ahead and deactivate them.
Okay.
So do you have a BW system?
Коллеги, у вас есть BW-система отдельно стоящая?
Коллеги. Коллеги,
Алло.
BW есть? Алло.
Алло, да. BV, по-моему, какую-то они версию разворачивали, и что-то там, какие-то отчеты даже есть.
Ну, то есть она не продуктивна.
Вот. Скорее всего, какую-то часть мы перенесем. Еще вопрос по HR. Можно?
Давайте,
секундочку.
давайте с BV закончим сначала. Да. Харшат, we don't have BV system, productive BV system right now. But,
Okay. Okay.
but we have plans to set it up.
Okay, so if you have plans to set it up, it will be a good idea to do it after S4HANA migration is completed.
Thank you. One more question, just a moment.
Please go ahead.
По поводу HR модуля, я так понял.
Да. А инструменты по HR будут одни и те же использоваться при конверсии? Потому что у нас, например, при текущем ландшафте у нас все в одной системе, у нас разделено только мандантами. HR и основные модули.
HR-система, я так понимаю, она же установлена не на ERP, она отдельно стоящая.
Почему?
Я вопрос задаю.
На ERP.
На ERP. Если на ERP, то инструменты используются те же самые.
А помните, они в прошлой лекции говорили, что вчера, что с финансами нужно, HR нужно смотреть отдельно и выбрать, там у них две, и что это отдельная система. Помнишь, Оль, картинку такую?
Да.
Но у нас будет в одной системе. Вот как будет тогда осуществлена конверсия, если все в одной? И как мы это все будем переносить?
We have a question about HR functionality in our ERP system. We have the HR but in different client, and we are speaking about how to convert ERP system to S4HANA because we didn't face HR conversion. Do you know about that? Because we have HR in our existing ERP system, but in different clients.
Okay. So the different client should not be a problem, but we need to understand what functionalities you use in HR. If you recollect our discussion in the morning, some of the functionalities are offered as compatibility packages. So if you're running payroll for Kazakhstan or for Russia in ERP, this is offered as compatibility package in S4HANA, which means you can continue running payroll as it is in S4HANA until 31st December 2025. There is no conversion required as such. But it depends on what functionality you are using. If there is anything specific, maybe you can write us back. I can check with the HR expert if they are available to answer this question. But there is no such conversion required for HR as of now.
Like for finance, there are no additional steps we need to perform after or before?
No, you don't have to. If you have to cross-verify that, you can go back to the simplification items in readiness check. In the drop-down, select the HCM LOB. There could be one simplification item where you have to assign the business partners to employees. That is the one activity that I can recollect, but that is also required when you have plans to move to success factors. Yeah, so there are 4 items that we see here. Yeah, conversion of employees, the first activity that you see. You have to convert all the employees because employees are considered as vendors or customers. You have to convert all the employees to business partners. This activity is required if you have plans to go to success factors. Otherwise, you don't have to do that. Similarly, there are some 3 activities which I'm not totally aware of, but you can read these notes and understand what activities you need to perform from HR perspective.
Okay, I think we need to discuss internally about HR and maybe we use some specifics functionality in the HR system. If not, it won't be a problem. Yeah.
Yes, it should not be. So all activities related to HR are captured here in front of your screen. There are just 4 activities that you need to take care of. I gave you one example. The other example, you will have to go through these notes and understand.
Okay. But I have a question for BW extractors.
Yes.
Will be it will be a problem if we do not disable them, deactivate them. Just we keep it in mind and do the conversion without any activities on BW obsolete extractors, or it can be a problem.
Yeah. I'm not too sure about this, whether it will be a problem or not. Maybe we will have to read one of the notes given there and then decide. PW attractors. There's no note given there. But okay, let me make a note of it. I will get back to you on this after I check this with my basis colleague.
Okay.
Okay. What do we have next? The next is business process discovery. I suggest we understand this more in detail in the business scenario recommendation. The same thing is covered in business scenario recommendation. Isha will cover this more in detail, but let me just give you some example. You see that in business process discovery, there are 15 high potential KPIs identified, which says there are 15 improvement areas you can work on before you migrate to S4HANA. Now, I'll give you an example, which is, let's say, transactional backlog, the second column here. You will see that there are open FIGL items. There are approximately 937,000 open FIGL items, which is problematic basically. Now, why this could be a problem? Some customers try to reduce their HANA footprint because, of course, HANA database is very expensive. They try to reduce their HANA footprint. To do that, they have to do the archiving, and to do the archiving, it is important that you close these open FIGL items. Once you close these open FIGL items, you can do the archiving, and then you can potentially reduce the HANA footprint in your target S4 HANA system. So this is one example of why business process discovery is very important, what you can do about it. Similarly, if you go back, so you have non-standard order types, the third column here. You might have created several order types or sales order types, purchase order types in your system so far. It could be Z, the custom order types. Let's say you have created 200 order types so far, but you are using only 20 of them in last 2 years or 3 years. So you can remove the 180 order types. Basically, it is a cleanup activity before you move to S4 HANA. So this will give you details about what order types are not being used in the system, and you can get rid of it. You can remove them before you move to S4 HANA. So more details about business process analytic KPIs is possible when we have 1:1 discussion. We have this discussion scheduled next Monday, where Isha will walk us through the report. And in the report, there are detailed KPIs that are captured with similar information. So you have that discussion in BSR next week.
Harshad, sorry for interrupting. Could you describe what does it mean, these digits, no 0%, 0%, 0%, what does it mean?
Yes. So the first column here tells you about the process automation. It captures the data. It tells you what is the automation rate in your system. So if I take example of invoices, we analyzed that there is 0% automation while you create your invoices, or while you create your purchase order invoices, there is 0% automation, which means you are manually creating them. Most of the customers, as a better practice, create these invoices automatically, either using a batch user or some automated process. It is just telling you that there is 0% automation in your system as far as creating these invoices or purchase orders is concerned. Okay. The next style is SAP Innovation Business Solution, which is empty. We need not worry about that. And finally, we have business.
Sorry, could you describe why this section is empty?
I don't have much idea about IBSO, but it is the custom delivery that SAP provides to its customers. If there is any custom development done by SAP and the affected code is highlighted here. So maybe we can check this in tomorrow's session with Isha, why this style is empty. In case if you do not have any such custom developments delivered by SAP, this tile will be empty.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Finally, we have business partners. So it just gives you information about how many customers and how many vendors you have. This is important for one of the simplification item activity we discussed, which is business partner conversion. You have to convert all your customers and vendors to business partners, as I mentioned. There are some steps that you need to follow, some guidelines that you need to follow. This tile just gives you information about breakup of how many customers and how many vendors you have. This possibly decides how much time will it take to convert these customers and vendors to business partners. So this is just for your information that, okay, these are the number of business partners we will have to create. All right, so I believe this is the last tile. Do we have any questions as far as readiness check is concerned? If you have any additional questions, we have one more session tomorrow. You can ask these questions to Isha. You can even share your dashboard in that session. Or you can always email us about your queries. Okay. If there are no questions, I just wanted to check with you. How do you like the sessions? Is it too fast? Is it too slow? Where can we improve? Do you need some additional help? For example, we had a session this morning about Transformation Navigator. Was it useful? Did you understand everything? Can we arrange one more session for you? We can also have a colleague who can speak Russian, but his availability is of a question because he is very busy. We can bring him in call once and maybe we can try to address your queries if required, if language is a problem. So you can just let me know. This is an open forum and you can give the feedback.
Harshad, of course, English, it's not our native language. That's why we have some troubles with understanding. Me and my colleagues kindly ask for talk slowly, a bit slowly, please.
Yes, we can definitely try that. Please do not hesitate to interrupt us in case if we try to talk very fast because as a habit, we often try to speak very fast. So we will try our best. Please do not hesitate to ask us to slow down if we are trying to speak very fast. But how about the session that I delivered in the morning? Did it help you understand? How was it?
Thanks for your understanding.
Yeah, it was good.
We will do our best to understand you.
Sure, sure. You can always go back and listen to the recording if required. And as I suggested, if there are list of questions that we need to answer, we can bring in one of our Russian colleague to help you answer these questions. Generally, he's very busy because he takes care of the classes in Germany time zone. He's from Germany, but we can try bring him in the call and try to address the questions if you have.
Yeah, can I ask about additional questions about our tomorrow session? We have a business process discovery in there and about business partners, yeah? And we have a potential option to have an additional session with Russian colleagues who can explain us about Transformation Navigator.
That colleague may not be able to help you with Transformation Navigator because I am responsible for it. So you can have as many sessions. Yeah, we can have as many sessions as you want with me. That should not be a problem. But unfortunately, the Russian colleague, Dimitri, will not be able to help you with Transformation Navigator because his area of expertise is limited. But you can have as many sessions as you want with me.
Yes, I have the same question. I'm sorry. In the first session, as I understand, we saw some offers and warnings and notes. Could we please try to find them, if it's possible, in the first session, as my colleague said?
First session
In this, yes.
of
In this
readiness
readiness.
check?
Yes, yes, in this readiness check.
I don't recollect any warnings.
So
Was it in
maybe
the slides that Isha presented?
nope. No, no, no. In our readiness check.
Oh, in your readiness check.
Yeah. Just a second. Может, maybe.
У нас есть первый из чека, может быть, они его смотрели. Вот это от 8 числа.
Где-то прям мы заходили, и там прям были предупреждения, и там предложения какие-то, но там прям список.
Не в первую, а во вторую. Мы вторую версию смотрели, потом уже вот свежую, то, что Валера подготовил.
Вот смотрите, самое первое от 8
с нами на связи.
8-го смотрели.
От 8 смотрели.
Да, давайте ее посмотрим.
Давайте посмотрим, что здесь.
Вот прям в диаграмму проваливаемся. Вот, и теперь вниз.
Вниз. А, вот эти, да?
Вот,
да. Самый первый, да.
Yeah, we're talking about these strange triangles. What does it mean?
Business
Errors, warnings.
Subject CVI mapping return code is 12. Check content map is 12. Some of the customers are not having. Okay. Just go back. I think I know what is this exactly. Check class out of date. Yes. So it tells you that the check class is out of date. You might have to go ahead and re-implement this note, the latest version of the note, 2502552. Can you see this warning here?
Yeah, it's the main node.
Yes, so you have to go ahead and deploy the latest version of this note.
But it's just a warning. We have some concerns about errors because it's about 12 return codes.
Some of the customers and vendors are not mapped. CVI mapping. Numbers are not mapped. Kindly refer to this note 2210486.
Yeah, I think we can be in trouble during conversion. Our business partners.
Okay,
not business partners, but maybe business partners or vendors.
Okay, so apart from simplification items, there is a different functional check that is executed on your system. We call it as simplification item check. This is slightly different from simplification items, but we still call it as simplification item check. It is going to tell you the functional preparedness of your system. How ready is your system before you move your system to S/4HANA? You need to correct all the warnings and the error messages from this simplification item check before you initiate the migration. Now, what could be a typical example of such errors or warnings? You have material master tables, MKPF and MSEC. For some reason, if you have a record in MSEC, but you do not have the same record in MKPF, this is a potential functional issue, a data issue. That is something which is highlighted in these errors. The same error here says that some of the customers and vendors are not mapped. You need to map them. So you have to go to this note, understand what is the error, solve it, and ensure that there are no warnings or no error messages in simplification item check. Once all of that is sorted, you can go ahead and migrate your system. Even if you go ahead and try to migrate your system with these errors and warnings, the system will not allow you to do it because it will say that you need to resolve these issues.
I think it was because we didn't uncheck. There was a discovery phase and detailed phase, and it is about detailed phase. We faced some issues some years ago during the S/4HANA project conversion, and it was an additional report for that.
Yes, so it's good to execute. It's you should not be so much worried about it, but yeah, you need to take care of this before the S/4HANA conversion is initiated. So for every error, we assign ID. There is an ID here, CVI underscore mapping. You go to this note, understand how do you resolve this error, CBI_mapping. You resolve that error, run the check again, ensure the error is not thrown. So this is how you resolve all such errors. And finally, you go ahead with the system conversion.
Okay. Эти ошибки, они связаны с фазой, которая называется там detailed, по-моему. И там как раз-таки идут эти проверки. Вот если эти ошибки не устранить, то Сум, когда будет делать свой отчет проверочный, он его делает 2 раза во время систем конверсии, то он не даст дальше идти, пока мы не устраним эти ошибки. Насколько я помню, был отдельный прям отчет, который показывал вот эти все штуки, и мы эти все ошибки устраняли. То есть вот это ошибки, их нельзя игнорировать, вот эти.
Это все понятно. Ну, хорошо, посмотрим.
А вот насчет этих, это ворнинги. Здесь написано просто, что у нас не последняя нота, а здесь код 4 тоже ворнинг. Вот, но вот,
это
например,
предупреждение. Для нас же важно снять вот все, что у нас именно как ошибки, которые не даст дальше пройти, же снять их.
Да, все, что выше, по-моему, 7-го кода, дальше конверсия не будет давать делать.
Да, хорошо, я поняла.
То есть вот это важная штука, которую вы нашли.
А давайте посмотрим, в последнем чеке были такие ошибки или нет? Потому
Давайте.
Что это были ошибки при авторизации еще.
Так, последний. Да.
So what I have done is, there is a nice blog about understanding what is simplification item check. What I'll do is I will use, you can use this link here to understand what are simplification item checks. How do you understand these warnings, error messages?
Okay. Насколько я вижу, здесь нет ошибок, потому что мы как раз-таки, насколько я знаю, убирали галочку, которая для фазы detailed, и мы только использовали discovery фазу. Но надо проверить, нужно будет более детально сесть, посмотреть, вот, есть ли здесь где-то ошибки в новом. Но мне кажется, нету. Потому что вот те ошибки, которые мы тоже с этим встречались при конверсии, это было до проекта, когда переводили бизнес-партнеров, вендоров и так далее. Там прям есть отдельный репорт на этот счет был, который просто в ABAP запускается, и он прям подсвечивает все это дело, и мы это исправляли шаг за шагом.
Еще раз, можно, звук пропадал?
Насколько вот я вижу, здесь нет ошибок, потому что мы убирали галочку.
Рамиль.
Да. Алло.
Нам-то слышно, это у Оли, наверное, какие-то проблемы.
Ну, наверное. Ну, можно в чате потом еще отдельно обсудить эту штуку.
Все, вопросов нет больше.
Вот, насколько я понял, будет завтра отдельная, не отдельная, а запланированная встреча по вот этим бизнес-процессам. Надо будет посмотреть, если есть вопросы, мы их зададим, потому что здесь мне не очень понятно, но я некомпетентен в этом вопросе. И вот по вот этому можно будет больше вопросов задать. Алло, меня слышно вообще?
Слышно, Рамиля. А мы попробуем вас сейчас в наш чат добавить, там вопросы есть, и как раз эти вопросы и обсудим.
Рамиль есть в общем чате.
Да? Вот в обучение проект миграции.
Коллеги, вам Харшат нужен? Он говорит, что он закончил, как бы, может быть, мы его отпустим?
Да, сформируем вопросы, и завтра, может быть, их зададим на вот этой сессии.
Я думаю, что да, Харшина можно отпустить.
Да.
Harshad, thank you so much for your help. Thank you.
No worries. If you have any questions, let us know. We can again set up a call.
Okay,
as I understand, Transformation Navigator is a challenge. If you do not understand the session, let us know. We will have more discussion in the 1:1 call next week.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll end this
Thank
call
you
now.
for your time. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.